Hello everyone. I'm back with a Yap video already. I just kind of got stuck into this concept, and I've been working on it for like 3 hours, probably actually even longer uh, than that. I've been working on this for like 6 hours, but I was doing like other stuff for the first like 3 hours. Basically, af- after 3 hours, there was like things that weren't distracting me. I got stuck into it for 3 hours straight. And I'm going to be talking about it. So, 2 years ago, about I think it was around January 2024, I made a roster for one of my favorite anime, Bungo Stray Dogs. I made a fighting game roster, and I had like a general idea of what some of the characters would do. I just got in the mood to like revisit that concept and like revamp it. So now I have like a proper concept for a Bungo Stray Dogs fighting game. If you don't know what Bungo Stray Dogs is, it's a really cool anime series. It also has a manga. The anime is an adaptation of the manga. The characters are based on real life authors. There's like Osamu Dazai is a character in Bungo. He's a real author, and the character is based on that author, and his ability is based on like a book by the author. And it's like that all throughout the series. And there's stuff like there's like American authors that come in. There's like Russian authors. They go all around the place a bit. Really cool like action series. I'd highly recommend it if you are interested in watching it, or if you're not like caught up. I am specifically talking about the anime, so you don't need to worry about being caught up on the manga because I have not read the manga yet, so I'm only caught up on the anime. There's 5 seasons. I have not watched the movie either. I think that I should note that. But yeah, if you are not fully caught up on the anime, then be wary because I will be talking about some spoiler stuff. There will be some spoiler stuff in here. But this is my concept for a Bungo Stray Dogs fighting game, which I've always wanted to do. Even one of my college projects when I was doing game design, I had to create like an outline for a video game idea. We weren't actually going to make it, or we could if we wanted to, but that outline was a Bungo Stray Dogs fighting game, and I had to talk about like why this would be a good idea. And it's like, it's an action series. That's fighting game is action, whatever. But yeah, I decided to revamp the idea, and now here we are. It'd be mostly a pretty simple 2D fighting game. There just wouldn't be like any super complicated mechanics or anything. It would have inputs and stuff. I kind of think like Guilty Gear Strive maybe comes to mind because I feel like the inputs in Strive aren't like too complex compared to something like Street Fighter, where I could spend like 2 hours in one of the like training rooms trying to put off just one input. But that's just me as someone who's mainly a platform fighter fan and not really like a trad fighter fan. But there are two main gameplay mechanics outside of just the base fighting game gameplay. The first is you can bring an assist with you into the match. You could turn this off in the settings if you don't want to play with assists, but the main game does do assists. Each fighter, like everyone on the character select, has an assist, but there are a couple of characters that you can't play as a fighter but still have an assist. And the second is a 3-tier meter that builds up during the match. So every fighter has a unique move related to their ability that uses up 1 bar of the meter, and then there's an even stronger move related to their ability that uses up all 3 bars. Each bar has a different rate of like charge, has a different charge rate. So some characters might have like a super fast rate for charging the first bar, but then the third bar might be like really slow or kind of like an average speed. And then the second bar is related to the assist. So you use up 2 bars to use your assist, and the charge rate of that second bar depends on the assist. So there are some assists that have like a really fast recharge rate for the second bar, but their ability might not be like super powerful. And that could be good because you might want to focus on getting your 3-bar charge. So you might bring in an assist that has a super fast second bar charge to get there faster. Or there might be a super powerful assist that has a slow charge, which would prevent you from like getting your third bar that quickly. I just think that'd be like a cool thing to do. But before we get into the characters, I do first of all want to go through the stages. I picked out 9 stages, and we're going to have a look at them. So I've done this. So there's the base stuff, the base stages and assists and fighters. And then there's 2 waves of DLC. Both waves have 3 characters, 1 assist, and 2 stages. So that means there are 9 stages altogether, with 5 on the base, 2 in wave 1, and 2 in wave 2. I named this folder wrong, but whatever. So the first stage is the Armed Detective Agency office. This is a pretty surefire stage to add. It's just the Armed Detective Agency office. This is where our protagonists have like their home base is or whatever. Specifically, this would actually be inside the office, not outside. And I think there could be fun background details in a lot of these stages. Like for this one, for example, you could maybe see Rampo in the background sleeping. Because Rampo isn't really anywhere in this game. I don't have like an assist for him, and he's not a playable character. So for characters like him, and there'd be some others, it'd be a cool way of adding more characters to the game just through like these fun background cameos. The second stage is the opposite of the Armed Detective Agency office. It's the Port Mafia. You got your good guy base, or well, your protagonist base. You got your antagonist base. It's pretty easy picks, And then we have Anne's room. This is a really could be a really cool stage. And this is another one. You could see like Lucy in the background walking around. Has like a cool background detail. And then number 4, we have Suribachi City. I just think this is like, it's just like a slums. I think it has a really unique environment compared to the other stages. So I thought that would be a good one to bring in. And then similarly, I have the Draconia room. Don't entirely remember this. It's been like 3 or 4 years or whatever since I watched season 5 came out. So if there's anything in like season 4 or 5, I might not actually remember where it comes from. The Draconia room doesn't ring a bell. It might be from Dead Apple. I don't know. I was looking through the wiki and I was like, that's a cool looking stage, or that's a cool looking room. I gotta add that as a stage. But yeah, the first DLC stage is the Moby Dick. Oh, what a cool stage this would be. Just a giant whale ship. Like, oh, that's such a cool idea. The second DLC in the first wave is the Armed Detective Agency Dormitory. This is a pretty simple one, but it has like the agency office would be indoors, the agency dormitory would be outdoors. So same kind of like, it's the same like kind of area, but one's indoors, one's outdoors. So they're pretty distinct. And again, I have an idea of like, if you could maybe see Dazai in the background, just a scene near the start of the series that is always stuck in my head where he gets stuck in the barrel. Imagine seeing that in the background. That would be funny. And Wave 2, the first stage of Wave 2 DLC, is the Sky Casino, which is just a really cool setting. it'd be a bit similar to the Moby Dick because it's like it's like a thing flying in the air, but it's also a casino. So maybe it could be like I don't really know what you could do her, but it's a cool setting, right? It's a casino in the sky. It's a cool setting. You have to have it. Um, and then the final one is Meersalt, which is the like prison that Dazai and Fyodor were kept um, in season 4 and 5. It's again just a really cool setting. Gotta have it as a stage. And those are the stages. Next, we're going to move on to the assists, and I don't have anything fancy for the assists because I don't have like an assist select menu that I made. So I just kind of threw up all the images together. Oops, I accidentally showed them all. Ignore that. So the first, and these are specifically the assists that aren't on the fighting roster. You can't play them as a fighter. You can only summon them as an assist. So the first one we have is Kyoka Izumi. She would have like a medium speed bar charge, or meter charge, whatever you want to say, and she uses her ability Demon Snow. When she gets summoned, a few seconds will pass, and then once those few seconds pass, the screen will flash, and the opponent is knocked backwards after her like phantom thing, her Demon Snow ability slashes them. It kind of reminds me of, I think it's Meta Knight's Final Smash, I want to say, in Smash Bros. Where it's kind of like you activate it and then like kind of like flashes and there's a slash. I think it's something like that. Sorry for all the like coughs and stuff, by the way. The second base assist pick is Junichiro Tanizaki. He would have a slow meter charge, and he uses his ability Light Snow. That's a very cool one. When Junichiro is summoned, an illusion of the player is created using a Light Snow. And in gameplay, this is just a CPU, and the CPU plays passively and doesn't attack. The actual player will become invisible, but they can still move around. Light Snow is dispelled when either the fake player is attacked by the opponent or the opponent is attacked by the real player. So this is a really cool like stealth assist. In Rivals of Aether, there's a character who is like a stealth character. He can like create clones of himself, so you don't know like which one is it going to be. And he can also like hide himself in smoke. And I think it's such a cool design. So having the opportunity to add that with a Junichiro assist using Light Snow would be so cool. Just a stealth ability in a fighting game. That's so cool. And next is Ichio Fukichi. She would have a medium speed. She doesn't have an ability, or if she does, I don't know about it. But very simply, she's very proficient with firearms. When you use her assist, she uses her gun. When she gets summoned, she will shoot the opponent 8 times with a gun. Each bullet does very light damage and very light knockback, but it's 8, so it stacks a bit. The fourth base roster assist is Hirotsu. I don't know why his image is so small. When Hirotsu is summoned, uh, he will do like an attack, and if it connects with the opponent, they will get knocked all the way back to the other side of the screen, like until they hit the wall, basically. It's just a huge knockback attack, basically. The final base roster assist is Goncharov. Um, oh yeah, I forgot to mention Hirotsu is a medium speed bar meter charge. Goncharov is also a medium speed charge. And when he's summoned, a giant rock golem appears in the background and slams the ground. If the opponent is in the air when the golem slams, nothing will happen. But if they are on the ground, then they get knocked onto the ground. Like in the stage where you have to do like a get up attack or a roll or something. That type of like knocked onto the ground. So this would be used as like to try get your opponent in the air. That could be bad for them. And then if they're not in the air, then they're just on the ground now. But they don't have like invis frames. They won't have invis frames when hit by the golem. Normally, when you get knocked on the ground, you don't normally have like some invis frames, or if you don't, then all the opponent can really do is like a jab block. I don't know if there's something like that in traditional fighting games, but that's I mainly have a platform fighter background, not really too familiar with 2D fighters. I just thought like obviously this is if there was a Bungo Stray Dogs fighting game, it's not going to be a platform fighter. It would work so much better as a traditional fighter. So that's why I'm making the concept as a traditional fighter, even though I'm not too familiar with it. I just got okay. I forgot if I shuffled the players or not. But yeah, you basically just like you can get a free hit on them when they're on the ground. Yeah. And then next up we have the first of two DLC assists. There's only one a DLC assist per wave, so that's 7 non-playable assists altogether. Because don't forget, each fighter will also have an assist, and I'll get to what their assists do when I talk about the fighters. But the first DLC is Kaji. He has a very slow speed charge, and he uses his Lemonade ability. When he gets summoned, a large amount of lemon-shaped bombs are thrown onto the stage, just all over the stage. They can be picked up and thrown by the players, and each lemon bomb does like a small bit of damage, but there's a lot of them, and it does damage both players. So it's basically a very risky thing. It's kind of just like a like you're going down with me type of move. It'd be hard to dodge all the lemons, but the thing about how you can pick them up and throw them, you're kind of going to be scrambling to just pick up and throw as many lemon bombs as possible to try to get them all to the other side, to the opponent's side. I think that's a really fun one to have. And then the final one, my not my favorite character, but my second favorite character in Bungo Stray Dogs, Akiko Yosuno. Oh, I love Yosuno. She also has a slow charge speed, and she uses her ability "Thou shalt not die." This is another really cool design. I really like this idea. She can only be summoned if one of the two players reaches a certain HP threshold. They have to have very low HP for Yosuno to be summoned. And she can do one of two things depending on what your input is when you use the assist. So it could be like I don't know, like you holding if you're holding down, then she does one thing. If you're holding up, she does another thing. Something like that, you know. In one case, if the user is low on HP, so the person who uses Yosuno, who summons her, if they're low on HP and summons Yosuno, then their remaining HP will be taken away. They'll be defeated, so they'll lose a stock, but the match will immediately resume with the player now on full HP. Um, the other player's HP doesn't reset. Their positions don't reset. Only the timer resets, and the stock changes. So the opponent will get the win for that round, but there's no like round reset. Basically, it just keeps going, and then you can do the same thing but for the opponent. If the opponent is really low on HP, you can do the same thing. So you can time it. So if you're doing really poorly and you like you're basically about to lose, you can summon Yosuno to just keep the match going, and now you might be at an advantage because now you're like all healed up and stuff. And then similarly, if you have a really good advantage and you're about to win a round, you can summon Yosuno and just immediately move to the next round, and now you keep that advantage. Like, isn't that so cool? It's probably broken as hell, but I feel like that's such a cool idea. I don't know. Um, it would be useless on the final round. You know, if you're doing like best of 3, like you wouldn't be able to really use it on the 3rd round. So it's kind of like a once per match type of assist, right? But I just think it is such a cool idea. Once I came up with that, I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. I have to do this. But yeah, that's the 7 assists that are not based off of playable characters. But speaking of playable characters, that's where we're moving on to next. So there are 9 characters, and then there are an extra 6 DLC, 3 per wave. So there are 15 characters altogether. To start, if there was only 2 characters in this game, if they did a Bungo Stray Dogs fighting game with only 2 characters, this would have to be one of them. It's Atsushi, the protagonist of the series. He would just be a pretty simple like all-rounder. He would have a focus on close range attacks, using his ability to like turn his limbs into like tiger limbs, you know, just like how he does in the show. For his 1 bar special, he uses Beast Beneath the Moonlight, half human, half tiger. It's a medium speed charge. It transforms all 4 limbs into tiger for a few seconds, which makes him move faster and also just generally more powerful. And then for his 3 bar, it's another medium speed charge. It's Beast Beneath the Moonlight in its full beast form, where he fully transforms into a tiger, and he is essentially invulnerable. If he does take any damage, it's very tiny, like chip damage basically. And he himself deals huge damage for a few seconds, but the player loses control for these few seconds. And then for his assist, most of these assists are literally just their like 1 bar special or their 3 bar special, but as an assist. There are a couple that are a bit more unique. Atsushi's is a medium speed charge, and when he's summoned, he jumps out in his half tiger form, pounces on the opponent, pummels them for a second while holding them in place. So you get a bit of damage from him, and you also get the opportunity to like maybe start a combo because the opponent is being held in place. And if there was, again, only 2 characters, the other one would have to be Akutagawa. I think you can't do a Bungo Stray Dogs fighting game without these 2. These are the main 2 you gotta add, even if it's just a 1v1 game, which is these 2. You gotta have Atsushi and Akutagawa. So obviously Akutagawa will use his Rashomon ability to do a lot of like medium range attacks. And there are some moves that I thought could be cool, like one where he pushes himself forward using his ability. So you basically get like a kind of dash type thing for some movement. One that creates like a small wall on the floor, which can essentially act as a shield, but you can also jump off of it for like a bit of extra height. And there's one that summons spikes on the ground, like a bit in front of you, and if it connects with the opponent, it'll incapacitate them for a second, so you can use that to like get in closer or get a grab in or something. For his 1 bar special, it's a medium speed. He uses Rashomon Higanzakura, This will, if it connects with the opponent, it'll lift them up into the air, and then Rashomon will explode into several spikes, which pierces the opponent. For his tree bear, its slow speed charge, it's Rashomon Tenma Akito. He uses Rashomon to completely wrap himself in the Rashomon, and this increases his defense and attack power greatly. And his assist is the exact same as the tree bear, but it's a medium speed instead of a slow speed. So if you use Akutagawa's assist, you'll be wrapped in the Rashomon, and you'll get increased defense and attack. Okay, going back to the first tree. So I did this so there's, in the base roster, there are 3 detective agency members, 3 port mafia members, and then 3 like other characters. So the second detective agency pick, and I think this one is like, if you have 3 characters, this is the third one. It's Dazai. Osamu Dazai. He's the most popular Bungo Stray Dogs character, loved by so many people. And I think he would be a pretty like swift character. He isn't not dealing like much damage, but like very fast and combo heavy. So doesn't do much damage, but he can do a mean ass combo, racking up huge damage. So it's similar to like Sheik in Smash Bros, where she's kind of like on her own doesn't do too much damage, but when you get a good combo going, you're going to rack up the damage. And I also think he could have like a move or two where it's just like a dodge that leads directly into an attack that can. So if you do a combo, but then the opponent can get out of the combo and try to attack you, if you predict that, you can use the dodge attack to dodge it and then immediately start the combo again. I think that would be a cool thing. For his 1 bar, it's medium speed, he uses no longer human. If it connects with the opponent, then the opponent's meter will stop building for a few seconds and they won't be able to use any of the meter. And then for their tree bar, it's a slow speed. It completely stops the opponent. They just get completely incapacitated for a few seconds or until Dazai hits them. And then the assist is a slow speed. It's the exact same as the tree bar. For the third detective agency pick, I went with Kenji. He would be the tank fighter. I originally had a different character in the base roster, in like Kenji's spot for the detective agency third pick. But when I was looking at the roster and I was looking at Kenji, I was like, Kenji's a tank. We don't really have like a proper, just full-on tank character in the base roster. I'm going to move him into the base roster. So I ended up swapping him with a different character, and that character ended up becoming DLC. So we have Kenji. He is a tank fighter, just slow but powerful attacks. For his 1 bar, it's a medium speed. He uses Undefeated by the Rain, which makes Kenji's attacks even slower but even more powerful for a limited time. And his 3 bar, it is a super slow speed. He uses Undefeated by the Rain. It makes his attacks extremely slow and extremely powerful for a limited time. Like the most powerful attacks in the game. If you get hit by like 3 or 4 of these, that's your entire health bar gone. But not only does it take a long time to charge, the attacks themselves are pretty slow. And when the effect wears off, Kenji will just go to sleep for a few seconds so the opponent can get a free hit or maybe even a free combo on you. And he has a unique assist. It's a medium speed charge, and when he's summoned, he just throws a car at the opponent. Thought that would be fun. And then there's Kuragawa, and the second Port Mafia pick, I went with the leader, Ogai Mori. he would be a puppet fighter. He could summon Elise, but he doesn't have to have Elise. Basically, when he's without Elise, which is the puppet in this instance, he can move around very fast, but he has very weak attacks. It's only when Elise is summoned, he'll become like a lot slower because you're mainly taking control of Elise at this point, and she has all of like the best moves. She does better damage. She's basically the character, but it's a puppet fighter. She's the character, but controlled by Mori. And the one bar is very fast speed. He uses Vidas Sexualis, which, if Elise isn't already summoned, then using the one bar will dispel, or if she isn't summoned, it will summon her, and if she is summoned, it will dispel her. So you can use one bar to to just kind of switch which state you're in. So you might want to dispel her if you're trying to escape a combo or something, or just trying to get away from the opponent, and then summon her again when you're in a good position. And this is like a super fast speed, because you're basically going to want to do this as much as you can, but not too much. You're still using meter, so you want to be in a good position to be able to use your full meter or use your assist. And speaking of the full meter, the tree bar is medium speed, and it has at least just do a barrage of attacks which do combined huge damage. And the assist is just the same as the tree bar. So the third Port Mafia member in the base roster is Chuya. I think Chuya is just a good counterpart to Dazai. He does actually have he has very fast hand-to-hand combat as well. He has like a projectile attack, and he has a very floaty jump. For his one bar, it's a fast speed charge. He uses Upon the Tainted Sorrow. This changes the weight of Chuya for his next attack. So instead of having, a fast combo heavy thing, it becomes slow and powerful. And for tree bearers, it's a slow speed, again using Upon the Tainted Sorrow. And this is the thing like Yosuno, where it can change depending on the input you do. So you can either, for a few seconds, if it connects with the opponent, change the opponent's weight to be so heavy that they just stay in place. They're basically incapacitated, and they take no knockback. They basically take no knockback, so you can just wail on them for those few seconds. But it's a so slow speed. Or alternatively, you can change the opponent's weight to be so light that they take an incredible amount of knockback, no matter the attack. So they're just always going to be getting knocked back and back and back. And the assist is, again, slow speed. It's the exact same as the tree bar, even the multiple choices. And for the first of the three, just kind of random jits, I guess, we have Scott Fitzgerald. Now, Fitzgerald is very unique. He has a unique stat, which is a money stat. You can see the amount of money just under the health bar and the special meter. It starts off in the hundreds of millions. And in combat, he's quite similar to Dazai in the beginning, where he has simple hand-to-hand combat. It's weak, he has fast moves, it's focused on combos, but he can spend money, and the more money he spends, the slower and more powerful he becomes. So he goes from a Dazai to a Kenji, basically. And for one bar, he can spend a little money, like 1,000 or something. I don't know. I didn't get too into the nitty gritty details because that's stuff you should only care about when you're actually making the game. But this would be a super fast recharge, probably the fastest recharge in the game. So you can just like keep spending little amounts, but then you can also spend a lot of money. If you use all 3 bars, this would be like 100,000 or something. But Fitzgerald has a unique 4th bar. It's the same length as the 3 bars. It like encompasses the 3 bars. It's basically like a second meter on top of the already existing one. But it's the length of the original 3 bars combined. So it takes a long time to build it up. You have to really consider, like, is it worth it to like save my bars right now and try to get that super slow 4th bar. By the way, the 3rd bar was medium speed. I think I forgot to mention that. But this 4th bar, like, really, it takes a long time to get there. You might be spending like the entire match trying to get it. But why do you want to get this 4th bar? Well, normally you wouldn't be able to spend all of the money in one match. There's just too much. But if you build up to this 4th bar and you use all of your meter once the 4th bar is built up, you spend all of the money. And this makes Fitzgerald superhuman. It gives him impeccable strength, speed, and endurance for a limited time. He's basically unstoppable. But you have to, like, it takes a long time to get there, and you have to make sure you really get the most use out of it before the time runs out. Because there's a chance you won't be able to kill the opponent in time, and then it would have been a waste. I just think really cool, like, resource management fighter, right? Do you focus on spending little amounts of money? Do you go for a lot of money? Do you wait until the final bar? Maybe you don't even want to spend money. Maybe you prefer how he fights when he has spent nothing. Maybe you need to wait for the right time to spend the money. Maybe you're like, maybe you don't spend money at the beginning because you want to get the combos in. But then once they get closer to death, you want to spend a bit so you become fast, you become slower and powerful. You might be able to get that final kill in, And for assist, it's a super fast speed, and it gives a slight boost to speed and strength when he's summoned. This is, I think, the one that uses the way the assists work here the best, because the slight boost to speed and strength for a limited time might not be like super worth it. It's not going to be that great, but the fastest charge speed for an assist in the game, that would be worth it for some fighters who might really need to get to that 3rd bar. I just think that's like a cool thing. Okay, the second of the 3 like random characters is Nathaniel Hawthorne. So Hawthorne he's a zoner. He can spend tiny amounts of HP, like chip damage amounts of HP, to shoot out projectiles, bring up like reflective shields, do medium to long range disjointed attacks. He does also have moves that don't use HP, but these are very short range, weak moves that are just using like his hands or legs. For a 1 bar medium charge, he uses the Scarlet Letter, which spends a little HP to bring up a shield that can reflect projectiles and counter attacks. For his bar 3 special, it's another medium speed. He creates a pool of blood that sits on the floor. And after this initial use, the 3rd bar will then switch to a super fast speed charge. And then if used the second time when the pool of blood is on the stage, it will launch an attack in the spot where the blood was at, which will obviously like deal damage and knockback to the opponent if they're sitting on it. And for the assist, it's the exact same as the 1 bar special, but doesn't spend HP. So it's basically just like a counter. Is an assist who gives you a counter. And the final character in base roster is John Steinbeck. This one is just like, I feel like Steinbeck is kind of the most random, like, who is this kind of character? But I think his ability would be really fun to have in this game. So I just have to throw him into the base roster because if he was in the like DLC, I feel like he doesn't have any like really unique gimmick like Fitzgerald or Hawthorne do, right? Also, I just realized all these three are all from the same um, faction, so it is kind of split into factions. You got the Detective Agency, the Port Mafia, and then their faction. I think the Guilds. That's what it was. But anyway, yeah, Steinbeck. He can like turn his limbs into vines, and he can manipulate the plants in the ground and stuff. So he has a lot of like medium to long range attacks with narrow hitboxes, and he has some attacks that have very wacky curved hitboxes, or hurtboxes. I mean, not hitboxes that like match the nature of vines a bit. Very just like kind of weird and curved. For his bar 1, it's very fast speed. It's a branch sprouts out like a bit of a distance away from Steinbeck, and if that connects with the opponent, it will knock them towards him. And his bar 3 is a slow speed. It creates a wall of thorns in front of him, and he can go through it. But if he knocks the opponent into it, they'll take some damage. And it does block projectiles as well. It acts as a wall for the opponent, but not for John himself. And that's the base roster. So wave 1 of DLC, this was who I swapped Kenji with, who's originally going to be in the base roster, until I was like, I need like a normal tank in the base roster, because there's Fitzgerald, but he's not a normal tank, right? He builds up to being a tank. But so I had to switch Kenji into the base roster, and that means Doppo Kunikida got pushed into DLC. I think he's a good DLC pick. He's a popular character, one of the like main cast. So it is kind of weird not to have him in base DLC, but in base roster. But but he would have very basic hand-to-hand combat. He would have a couple of grab-based moves to differentiate him a bit more from the other hand-to-hand combat fighters. But he also has some moves that involve like small weapons, like a switchblade, which it would be like it'd be a thing where like that's summoned with his ability, but like before the match or something, or maybe if it would work in the animations during the match, I don't know. But it would just be on like select moves. It wouldn't be like a thing he carries around and as like an item. Before his bar 1, he does summon a random item. It would be a medium speed. He summons a random item, and I have the list of items. There would be a stun grenade. This can be thrown. It stuns the enemy upon contact. There's a stun gun, which similarly stuns the opponent upon contact, but instead of it being a projectile, it's just on his like normal hand attacks. So if he has like a punch attack and he's holding a stun gun, it would stun the opponent. He can get a pistol, which is sort of like the Higuchi assist, but it can only shoot 3 bullets. There's a wire gun, which it shoots out a projectile, and if it contacts the opponent, it will pull them towards Kunikida. And there's a tear gas bomb, which can be thrown, and upon explosion, it creates an area of effect that deals like chip damage if you're standing inside of it. This also affects Kunikida, so he has to be careful if he gets a tear gas bomb. and then just a regular grenade which explodes and deals damage. For his tree bar, it's a medium speed. He summons all of the items at once. Don't know how that would work. Maybe he only summons the projectile one, like the bombs, because like if you're holding the stun gun and the pistol, I don't know. But something like that where he just summons like multiple items at once instead of one at random. Excuse me. And then for his assist, it's the same as bar one, but instead of the entire item list, it's only the stun grenade, the tear gas bomb, and regular grenade. So basically, the 3 projectiles instead of the pistol doesn't get summoned if he's an assist or the stun gun. It's only the grenade, the 2 grenades, and the tear gas bomb that gets summoned. For our second Wave 1 DLC, we have Tachihara. This is the main reason I was like, be careful of spoilers, because this very spoiler heavy character right here. So if you still haven't turned around yet, I would encourage you to do so now. Yeah, he uses his ability of like manipulating metal for a lot of projectile based attacks. And this also includes a sword, which he has for like, just regular like melee attacks. But he can throw the sword and then manipulate it when it is thrown. So for his 1 bar, it's a fast speed. He uses Midwinter Memento to call the sword back to him, and it damages the opponent if during the way. For his 3 bar, it's a slow speed, and it summons a metal puppet for a few seconds, and he basically becomes a puppet fighter for those 3 seconds. For his assist, it's similar to bar 1, to his like 1 bar special. When he's summoned, he'll throw the sword in the direction the player is facing, and after a few seconds, the sword will be summoned back to Tachihara, who's standing in the same place where he was summoned. So the sword doesn't come back to where the player is, it goes back to Tachihara. And the final Wave 1 DLC pick, I went for Nikolai Gogol. Using his ability he basically has like cartoon space ability. I forget what the exact name of it is. He has like an endless space, and he can do like portal stuff. So he can use his ability to just like summon random items in his moves, or he can do like an attack where he punches through a portal, and that gives him like more range. Right? And then for his 1 bar, it's very fast speed. He uses his ability to summon a portal on the opposite side of the screen, where a revolver will come out and fire, but it's Russian roulette. The gun has 5 blanks and 1 real bullet. It's a 1 in 6 chance of it actually firing a bullet. I just think that's such a... Nikolai is kind of like... He's a bit of a joke character in a way, but kind of not. It's not really that he's a joke character, it's just that he's like a trickster. He's a funny guy. So I think having a funny move like this would be really cool, but it'll have a really fast charge rate. And you kind of... The idea for this on a more practical level is that like the opponent doesn't know if a bullet is going to be fired. You also don't know, to be fair, but like they might try to dodge it or they might not, and just hope it's the blank, and you can do stuff based on that. But then his 3 bar, it's also fast speed, not as fast as the 1 bar. he just teleports behind the opponent using his portals. But it's like above the opponent. He's like in the air. Like it's basically like a portal is below him. He falls into it, and then he falls behind the opponent. So he's able to do an aerial. And his assist is the exact same as the 1 bar. The 1 in 6 chance and all. Now, moving on to Wave 2. I unintentionally created a team with the Wave 2 DLC. They're all sword fighters, but they're all very unique sword fighters, and you'll see. So, first DLC of Wave 2, we have Fukuzawa, the head of the detective agency. And here, he's a decently simple sword fighter. But he has a combination of sword fighting and just like regular martial arts, and I think that combination is pretty cool. Then for his 1 bar, he uses his medium speed. He uses his all men are equal ability to lower the knockback and attack power of the opponent. So this is a stat change for the opponent. And then his 3 bar, another medium speed. He raises the knockback and attack power of himself. Just pretty simple specials for Fukuzawa. He'd be a pretty normal character before we get to these last two. And his assist is the exact same as 1 bar. As his 1 bar special. Okay, so Wave 2, DLC 2. Again, another sword fighter. We have Suehiro. He is a stance change sword fighter, because his ability lets him to manipulate the size and shape of his sword. And that gets utilized through his moveset, where different attacks have just like weird sword shapes. But generally, the length of the sword will stay the same throughout his moveset until it gets changed with his 1 bar special. It's a super fast speed. It's similar to like Mori, where his gimmick requires him to use meter, but it charges so fast. It just charges really fast, and he uses his ability to change the length of his sword, and it depends on the input. So you could input it so it changes to a short length, basically to that of like a dagger, and it's very short range. Yeah, it's very fast, and it's used quite a bit for combos and stuff. Then you could also change it to like a short sword length, which would be the normal length that you like default start with, and it's just in between the short and long range swords. But you can also change it to a long sword. It's the longest range, but it's also the slowest of the three. And then for his 3 bar, comparatively, this is super slow speed. He changes the length of the sword to reach all across the screen for a limited time. And then his assist is that he does a cross-screen slash. The assist is also super slow speed. And then the final one, and this is like the coolest idea ever. I want to see this. No matter how broken it is, I want to see this. Fukuchi. In his moveset, he's just a standard sword fighter. Even more standard than Fukuzawa. Like, he doesn't use martial arts in his moveset, it's just pure sword fighting. It's no weird, like, he can't change the length of the sword, he can't change the size of it. So what's special about him? Well, it's not his ability that I'm using for his meter. It's in the anime, he has a type of sword. He has a specific sword that he gets in the anime that he uses and has a very unique power. You see, Fukuchi has a space-time sword. And for 1 bar, it's a medium speed. He uses the sword. It's called the Shinto Amenagozen. Let me say that again. Shinto Amenagozen. He can, for 1 bar, he can use the space-time sword to slash into the future. The longer you hold the attack, the further into the future the attack goes. And basically, in like the code or whatever, it would just save the position of where you were when you did slash, and then it will set a timer. And basically, when that timer is finished, it will activate the slash. And if the opponent is in the spot of the attack when it activates, then they get impaled by the sword and are locked in place for a second. You're basically setting up a trap. But the thing I find even cooler is the 3-bar. It's a slow speed charge. He uses the sword again, but instead of slashing into the future and setting a trap, he sets a trap into the past. The longer you hold the attack, the further into the past it goes. If the opponent was in where you attacked that amount of time back, then the game will rewind to that point in the round, which reverts both players to the positions they were in, which includes the reverting the opponent into where the attack is, and it also reverts both players' HP to where it was before. Isn't that such a cool idea? Probably broken as hell. Maybe it would be just annoying, but I want to see it at least tried, you know? And as an assist, it would just be the 1-bar. I want that 3-bar special to be unique to him. But the 1-bar special, other players can have it if they use assist. It would be a medium speed again. And that is my Bungo Stray Dogs fighting game concept. I have the full images here of what the stage select would look like and what the character select would look like. So you have the the arrows where you just get to pick the stage and pick the characters, and then when you've picked the character, it'll give this menu that you can cycle through to pick your assist. And I think that's all I have to talk about. I love Bungo Stray Dogs, one of my favorite anime. I don't know if the fighting game will ever happen, but I hope it does, because that would be really, really cool. And that is some of my ideas of what said fighting game would be like. I am a game developer. I'm not going to make this. This is purely living as a concept. But I hope you enjoyed it. And maybe I'll have other concepts to do in the future. I don't know. I just made this one on a whim. I just really felt like revamping my concept from way back when. So, but if I do have any other ideas like this, I do love building rosters like this. I really do. I really want to do like a One Piece roster when the series is finished. I have like a Pokemon roster idea, so maybe I can do more like building like roster videos like this. Maybe I probably won't have like full concepts for all of them, but it's mainly the roster stuff and like seeing, oh, how would this character work in a fighting game? That would be pretty cool to like figure out, you know. But anyway, yeah, enough yapping. I've yapped for long enough. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.